We're going to continue with our multiplying and dividing larger numbers with lesson 6, multiplying a 3-digit number by a 1-digit number. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through 3 different ways that, or strategies that you can use to multiply a 3-digit number, and then I'm going to show you the short way as the 4th strategy, and you can choose what's easiest for you. If you find that multiplying the short way is when you're completing your assignment, just use that and you don't have to explain your strategy. So Serena bought 2 packages of counters. Each package contains 136 counters. How many counters did Serena buy? Well, this is a 3-digit number, and you're multiplying by a single-digit number. So what you're trying to figure out is 136 times 2. Well, there's different ways that you can solve this equation. You could use base 10 blocks. So let's have a look at what that would look like. So base 10, we've got, let's just go back to this one. Serena bought 2 packages, 136. So with base 10, it would look like this. So 100, 3 10s, and then 6 1s. And how many of them do you need? You need 2. So 100, 3 10s, 6 1s. And then you would count up how many would you'd have altogether. Well, you'd have 12 1s. So you could put the 2 there and then add another 10 here. How many 10s do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then how many hundreds do you have? You've got 2. So it's 272. So you could use base 10, but you don't always have base 10. So I'm going to show you a shortcut way. The shortcut way is very similar to the shortcut way with multiplying a 2-digit by a 3-digit. You go 6 times 2, which is 12. So you put the 2 in the 1s column and the 1 on top of the 10s. 3 times 2 is 6. Add the 1, which is 7. And then you multiply the 100 by the 2. So 1 times 2 is 2, or 200, because it goes in 272. Did we get the same answer? Yes, we did. Which was less work? For me, multiplying the short way is less work than drawing all those base 10 or using the real models. You have to decide what works best for you. What you need to understand is what you're doing when you're doing it the short way. Really, you're multiplying 2 by a 6 1s, 3 10s, and 1 100s, and you'll get 272. So let's do some more examples. It says Mr. Martell arranged his class into 3 groups for an activity. Each group needed a piece of string 145 centimeters long. What length of string does Mr. Martell need? So what he's trying to figure out, the total length of the string is 3 times 145. Well, they're going to teach you 3 ways to multiply. You can use base 10 blocks. So here they've represented 100, 4 10s, 5 1s, so 145 3 times. So how many is that? Well, first we count up the 1s. 5, 10, 15. There's 15 1s. So we can add another 10 here. So how many 10s are there? So 4, 8, 12, and then one more is 13. There's 13 10s. So we need to add another 100 here. So how many hundreds do we have? 435. So Mr. Martell would need 435 centimeters of string. So that's one way, using base 10. Let's look at another way. So Mr. Martell arranged his class into 3 groups. So what are the 3 ways to multiply? So this is the same question. What's the second way? Whoops, went up too far, sorry. The second way is to use expanded form. And so you can write 145 as 100 plus 40 plus 5. And then you're multiplying all of those by 3. So 3 times 145 equals 3 times 100. So you're going 3 times the 100. And then 3 times the 4, 30, or 40. 3 times 40. And then the 3 times the 5, which is 15. And then you need to add those up. So 3 times 100 is 300. 3 times 40 is 120. 3 times 5 is 15. When you add it together, you get 435. To me, that seems like a lot of work. And there's one more way that we can solve it, and that's break a number apart to multiply. So you're going to go 145 times 3, so 5 times 3 is 15. 3 times 4, or 40, would be 120. 3 times 100 is 300, and then add them up, 435. So Mr. Martel needs 435 centimeters of string. Now, each way that we solved it, we got the same answer. So each is a legitimate strategy. I'm going to also show you one more way, and that's multiplying the short way, because I find it quicker and easier, and I find it's less confusing for kids. So I'm going to show you the short way to multiply. So 6 times 5 is 30. So I put my 0 here and my 3 in the tens column. And then I multiply 4 times 5, because I'm multiplying all the numbers. Now it's really 40 times 5, but 4 times 5 is 20, and then I add on my 3, which will be 23. And then 3 times 5 is 15. Add the 2, 17. So my answer is a 4-digit number, 1,730. I'd like you to get a piece of scrap paper so you can pause the recording, and I want you to do these along with me, or do them ahead of me and then check. So you can get a piece of scrap paper and write down this equation, 723 times 4, and then solve it, and then you can check it with me. So stop the recording. How did you make out? Well, when I do this question, I multiply 3 times 4, which is 12. 2 times 4, which is 8. Add on the 1, make it 9. 7 times 4 is 28. So my answer is 2,892. Did you get the same answer? I hope so. Okay, write down this next one, 616 times 8. Then pause the recording. Do it, and then start the recording, and you can check your answer. How did you make out? This is what how I multiplied. 6 times 8 is 48. 1 times 8 is 8, plus 4 would be 12. Carry the 1. 6 times 8 is 48, plus 1 more is 49. So the answer, 4,928. I hope that's what you got. Okay, your next question to write down, 504 times 9. So write that down, pause, and then resume playing when you have an answer. Well, what product did you find? Let's see what I find. 4 times 9 is 36. The 6 goes here, 3 goes up there. I'm going to tell you a common mistake people do. They go 4 times 9 is 36. They put the 6 up here and the 3 down here. That's really 63, not 36. And that will give you a totally wrong answer. So make sure you don't switch the numbers around. Okay, so 36. And I always write my tens first, so 36. Okay. 0 times 9 is 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. 5 times 9 is 45. The answer, 4,536. Did you get that answer? Okay. Write this one down on your scrap paper. 719 times 3. Pause the recording, go off and do that. How did you make out? 9 times 3 is 27. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5. 7 times 3, 21. The answer, 2,157. Is that what you got? And our last example, 425 times 7. So write it down, pause the recording, and then resume when you're finished. 5 times 7 is 35. 2 times 7 is 14. Add the 3, 14, 15, 16, 17. 4 times 7 is 28, plus 1, 29. If you know your facts, this is pretty straightforward. If you don't know your facts, it's pretty hard because there's 3 equations that you need to solve. If you get really stuck, you can use a multiplication chart, but this is really good incentive to learn those multiplication facts by heart. Your assignment today is pages 297, 298, numbers 1 to 9, but I'm going to ask you to skip question 6. And there's also some practice sheets of some more questions multiplying the short way with 3-digit by 1-digit numbers. Let's have a look at some of the questions that kids struggle with. Number 1 looks hard, but it really isn't. It says find each missing number. So let's look at A. You're multiplying all the numbers by 5. You're going 100 times, 5. You're going 70 times 5, and you're going 8 times 5. So not hard. When you're writing this, write down all of the numbers and then fill in the square with the correct number. Put a square around it so it makes it easier for your at-home instructor to correct. Okay, let's look at D. So it's 413 times 2. So what are we multiplying in the 100 spot times 2? 400. Don't just put plain 4. It's 400 times 2. What are we multiplying the 2 by next in the tens? We're multiplying it by 110 or 10. So that's how you do question 1. Let's have a look at question 3. It says find each product, and they're letting you choose the strategy. When you write this down in your notebook, write it like this. Put the 3-digit number on top, your multiplication sign. By the single digit, the ones are lined up, and then multiply the short way. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 9, 27. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14. So it'll look like this in your notebook. Make sure you use 3 lines to complete that equation. And don't crowd your work. Skip a line before you go to 3B or whatever is next. So please write your numbers up and down with a 3-digit number on top. This is exactly the same thing, but it always confuses kids because the box for the product is starting at the start. What you need to do, you'll write 5A, you'll put your 3-digit number on top, multiplied by your single digit, and then solve. 5 times 3 is 15, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7, 3 times 1 is 3. Your answer, 375. Okay, so please write them up and down to solve. Next is 8, and this is a bit of a tricky one. And there's one on your final assessment just like it, so it does well to pay attention. The reason why it's tricky is it's a 2-step question. So each seat on a roller coaster holds 3 people. There are 42 seats. The roller coaster completes 6 rides every hour. Could 800 people ride the roller coaster in 1 hour? Explain. So there's lots of parts to this question. So first you need to figure out how many people can ride the roller coaster at one time. And you figure that out by going 42 times 3. 2-digit by 1-digit multiplication. 2 times 3 is 6. 4 times 3 is 12. 126 people can ride the roller coaster at a time if it's completely filled with 3 people on each of the 42 seats. Okay, so but then the roller coaster completes 6 rides every hour. Ooh. So if it's full, 126 people each time it goes, times 6 times in an hour, we have to figure out how many people can go in 1 hour. 6 times 6 is 36. 2 times 6 is 12. Add on the 3, 12, 13, 14, 15. 1 times 6 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. 756 people can ride it every hour. Could 800 people ride the roller coaster in 1 hour? Explain. Well, 126. Could 800 people ride? No. Only 756. So we have to say no. Only 756 people could ride in 1 hour. So there we answered the question. So that's what question 8 is like. And finally, question 9, it's copy and complete each multiplication chart and figure it out. Now, A will be fairly straightforward because the numbers are here. Here you're going up by 3 each time, 16, 17, 18, 19, this will be 5, 19, and so on. Not hard. This one always stumps kids, and because the numbers that you're multiplying are missing. But use your reasoning. 600 here, 603, what are you going up by? You're going up by 3s. And that helps you figure out 4, 5, and 6. Well, then you have to think, what times 3 equals 600? Well, it'll be 200 times 3. And so this will be, across will be 201, 202, 203. Let's see if that we can check. 201 times 3, 0, 6. So that works. So that's how you do that one. So don't let it stump you. It's not as hard as it seems. So what is your assignment again? Your assignment is pages 297, 298, numbers 1 to 9, but you can skip question 6. Then there's some practice sheets at the end of the lesson. Feel free to use a multiplication table if you get stumped, and go ahead and use what you know about multiplying the short way with 3-digit numbers. Good luck with multiplying 3-digit numbers today. Goodbye.